And we just came out of a 2 o'clock statewide conference call regarding the storm presently, and that's based on the 11 o'clock release from the National Weather Service. Tropical Storm Ana is approximately 820 miles southeast of Hilo, moving at about 8 miles an hour, kind of moving in a west-northwest direction, maximum sustained winds at 65 miles per hour. Those storm force winds extend out 65-mile radius from the center. And right now, based on the current track and rate of progress, we're looking at Friday sometime, start to see the initial arrival of the high surf. And right now what's forecasted is 25 to 40-foot surf along the southeast coastal areas. We're also expecting by Friday to start experiencing some rain. And that could be, again, as forecasted, maybe 10 to 15 inches and as much as 20-plus inches in some areas. And that's over the duration of the storm system passing over the Big Island, which could be from 12 to 24 hours. So substantial amount of rain, especially when you look at the southeast area of the island, being fairly well saturated. We had some recent flooding down in the Kau area within the last couple of weeks with the road closure of Highway 11 in the vicinity of Wawa. So, again, we're still recovering from that flood event. We're still saturated, and we're going to be preparing for additional flooding problems. Winds, like I said, max sustained winds at 65 miles an hour currently, but it is forecasted that the system will be strengthening and may be upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane sometime over the next few days. So we're going to be monitoring that situation very closely as well. Questions for me on either issue or event?
Daryl, it's Andy Such from Hawaii News Now. Can you just talk about how you folks in civil defense and the folks in that area of the Big Island and the Puna District are dealing with what seems like a never-ending bad news when it comes to the lava and the weather? And can you just speak to that a little bit, please?
Sure. Well, as far as for us in civil defense, and that would be for all these stakeholder agencies as well that make up the team that really gets labeled as civil defense, because when we were talking about response to a disaster, it's all the agencies coming together, including our nonprofits and non-government offices or organizations. So basically, everyone has been in response mode just prior to Hurricane Iselle, and since then, with transitioning to the eruption, so all the agencies have been engaged and working together on the various hazards. So again, the positive that comes out of that is that we're all still in an operational tempo and have been working very closely together and strengthening our relationships and identifying also some lessons learned and gaps that we can close with this next storm event coming through, lessons learned with Iselle. As an example, it's being a little more aggressive in our door-to-door notification of the shoreline communities that experienced high surf the first go-round in August and what they could expect to see the second system coming through. So we're going to be making a much more aggressive door-to-door notification because some of these communities, the residents may not be aware of what's been transpiring over the last few days. They may not be in a location to receive, communication broadcasts. So again, we want to make sure that they are aware of what's being predicted and forecasted for them so that they can take the appropriate action. And as far as for the community, I don't think I can speak for the community, but I think we are all very empathetic to what the Puna community has been going through. It seems like you said, it's never ending. It's one event after another at the present time. And, the community has been very responsive to everything from with Iselle, the community members actually coming out and providing service and support and assistance to one another. But I think the other thing is the community developed additional awareness of the importance to prepare. And with this particular storm system coming through, I think we'll have more residents taking the time now to prepare better for the possible impact of that.
Hi, Daryl. Tom of the Tribune Herald. Did you mention 25 to 40-foot surf?
That's correct. Based on the current forecast and modeling that was done by the National Weather Service. We're looking at that along the southeast coastline.
Okay. And what preparations may the county take to address coastal flooding and those kind of issues?
Right. As I mentioned, one is the door-to-door notification of the residents in those areas that are prone to high surf and surge and run-up. And that's to make sure that they are aware of what's being forecasted and can take protective actions now. And then also it'd be, as standard practice, both our state highways and public works departments, whenever there's a weather event, they pre-position resources in areas so that they can respond and have them available, as well as those agencies along with the public safety agencies, police and fire, will be conducting district assessments and checks going forward and letting us know of any changes or observations of change that might be occurring prior to the forecasted arrival of any storm elements.
And is there any talk of closing any public spaces along the coastlines that might be hit the hardest ahead of time?
Yes, definitely. Anytime there's a surf event that's forecasted and we move into either an advisory, watch, or warning, then we will be issuing, if necessary, the appropriate facility closures, such as the beach parks, the state beach parks.
Mm. And we saw with Iselle there was a big demand, obviously, for drinking water, ice, and so forth. Are there going to be any efforts to coordinate those kinds of supplies at that time? After we saw what happened with Iselle, basically.
Well, one of the things we would hope that everyone learned, a valuable lesson, is that an ounce of prevention is worth 10 pounds of cure, and that is, if everyone can do a little bit now in anticipation of what could be happening to store water with whatever containers and resources they have, rather than waiting till after the impact and relying on the delivery and providing of those resources, which may be difficult to do so if roads are affected and transportation routes are affected, as well as what we saw in Iselle, the post-impact rush on these supplies left the stores and merchants without any material. So, and it doesn't mean you have to run out and buy things. If people have containers at home that are safe to store for drinking water, and if not even safe to store for sanitation purposes, to do what they can. That's all part of the disaster preparedness message we try to convey is if everyone can do a little bit to be better prepared, which means something as simple as filling your bathtub now and leaving it full so you have water to flush your toilet if you need to. Those are just simple things that, the average homeowner could do ahead of time that doesn't cost much and could put them in a better position for post-impact recovery.